Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Now this is going to be about Lego Percy Jackson, because this is a franchise I'm very surprised has not gotten anything from, Lego. Like, they've done Harry Potter, they've done Star Wars, but this feels like a missed opportunity. We've only ever gotten, a DS game, and it was utter garbage. So this is just me, saying, how would I do it, Because it's going to be a little different than the stuff I've done before, and, that's based on stuff, so it's tweaking. And if I'm being honest, I have been currently sick with something, and that hasn't helped. And I've also been hard at work throwing myself thin with the rewrites, so that's coming. But let's get into this. I want to take elements from Lego Lord of the Rings, because that fantasy style stuff that they had with that game was pretty good. It's older, but it fits Percy Jackson in a sense with, how that style could work. And we can also mix it with Harry Potter, obviously, but still. With this game, with my ideas, I would take together all of, the greatest hits with the Lego games with style and gameplay. Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, all that jazz. But with Percy Jackson, obviously, this is a book series, so I want to present it like the Lego Harry Potter games. And I honestly believe the best way to do that is with the enemies. Familiar bosses like Medusa and also the Minotaur. Those types of enemies would, be a part of this in the story and with the chapters, because you have the Percy Jackson books first, the Heroes of Olympus style stuff, with characters like Nico and all those guys having different sets of powers or abilities. And the gameplay could reflect that style, each character roughly playing a little differently in how they do things, how they fight.
For instance, characters like Grover fight with nature and music, and characters like Annabeth with her knife, and they're a lot more slide and, sneaky. There's a lot of things you can do with certain characters and how they fight in gameplay, and Percy being a little bit of someone we can really mess around with his water-based abilities and also the way he could fight. You can really introduce those familiar characters from the books in Lego form, like Thalia, or characters like Luke in The Lightning Thief, which technically the first chapter is based on anyways, and really test the bar when it comes to those types of characters in gameplay.
Enough about that, let's talk about the map for a second, because with this, I was kind of experimenting in my thought process. I wanted to pull a lot from Harry Potter with the story focus. We can have that chapter-based system, but I also like to pull from Marvel's Avengers with some separate mini-maps that are connected, and I want to have the map be this very interesting feel from locations from the books and also familiar stuff. You do have access to Camp Half-Blood as a central hub type area with that iconic feel from the books and just stuff in general. I feel like that would be great. But I also feel like, pulling from Harry Potter, I want to have Manhattan, and I want to have also the Olympus, the Underworld, Tartarus, and even Camp Jupiter as separate, partial, big, small-ish maps. I didn't mean to say lick, but regardless, in general, just those types of multifaceted maps that I want to pull from Lord of the Rings in a sense, that fantasy mixture where you do have that in Harry Potter. I want the maps to have that same feel that you had reading the books or watching the movies. Both those games did that very well, so I want it to have that feel. You can explore Tartarus, explore the Underworld, do side quests and stuff like that. Even explore Manhattan with a little bit of a twist, since it would kind of push your gameplay to a whole new level. Speaking of gameplay, let's talk about it. I want to take elements from the new Lego Star Wars games for the sword combat. Because, not just sword combat, but just in general. Because in Lego Percy Jackson, I want to emphasize that style that Lego, Star Wars did with the lightsabers. But just a tweaking a bit. We don't have wands, we have swords, bows, stuff like that, and it's slight abilities. Not using the force, but natural abilities that they have. You also have range fighters with bows and arrows, so taking elements from Awakening, Star Wars, you can have those shootout moments or ranged type of bow encounters or stuff like that, just in general, just to spice things up. But I also want there to be a skill ceiling, so fusing the sword combat with Lego Ninjago's style of combat, just a little bit in Lego Harry Potter, you got a nice mishmash of a different style of Lego combat than you're used to. Enough about combat and gameplay, let's talk about mission structure and side missions and all that jazz. So with the idea I have talked about with the map, there would be multiple separate maps, like the Underworld, the Olympus, and also Manhattan, Camp Half-Blood, and Jupiter, and stuff like that. It would also be interesting, to just have cool little things and Easter eggs with those. Some of these things wouldn't really unlock until you play certain chapters of the Lego game, parts, story. So, Battle of the Labyrinth, you wouldn't unlock the Cloven Elders bit or Zeus's Fist until you beat that, chapter in the story and that whole thing. So when you beat the game completely, the Daedalus's Labyrinth and other stuff would be something that you can actually use in gameplay, going down in there and actually using it to get to other locations. So in a sense, certain parts of the map do unlock with the story. So it adds emphasis on beating the game. Plus, with Daedalus's Labyrinth, it also gives you room to go to locations that are not a part of the map, that you did actually were able to go to in the story. For instance, Cece's Island and the Sea of Monsters, or other locations that, are just brief little smaller locations that maybe be throwaway, that are not super big, but not super small, where you can actually, use these locations to get, items, do side missions and stuff like that, which would be awesome. Speaking of side missions, some would be pretty much the typical length of small and kind of how they are in the main Lego games that are just, go do something, but also some would have some comical funny bits if you're doing stuff for the gods. You can unlock multiple characters that have a lot of different abilities, where Percy has water-based abilities, being able to breathe underwater, being able to use water if he's near it, to blast at things. He can't really just blast it, he has to be near something. So he's kind of like any normal character, but he does have that ability. Just Nico has the ability to summon the dead, or other stuff. You can really have some cool, messing around with certain abilities for puzzles, and also, traversal and stuff like that. Even the gods can be playable, and you can really have some fun with them, characters like Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, and stuff like that. They have very cool, fun abilities that you can really mess around with in Lego form. Speaking of traversal, you also have the ability to summon certain bits if you go to a certain location, push in a little keypad, similar to Lego Marvel or certain other ones. You can get a chariot, Pegasi, certain other things, or just go to the barn at Camp Half-Blood and you have the Pegasi that you can ride and fly around. There's not really a whole lot of things I could come up with that are based in the books for traversal options, besides maybe the taxi and a few other things, but really those are just small stuff. Certain characters like Percy, you can also have the ability to ride the water and as a wave if you're on top of it, but you can also sink to the bottom and breathe under the water. So swimming, you won't take any damage or anything like that. So that could be very interesting for puzzles. And also using your weapon Riptide can be very interesting to hit locks, pulling also from Wolverine's claws from Lego Marvel Superheroes, and also other things you can do as Annabeth for puzzles, or even Leo with his fire-based abilities. If you decide to play as Frank, he has a weapon wheel that actually is a different combination of animals that you can unlock through the different bits of Heroes of Olympus that are the different ones that he can turn into. So it's pulling from Beast Boy, from, you know, Lego DC and stuff like that, but also kind of changing it up a bit to where you can choose the animals that he can play as, and they all have variations of abilities that can actually help you with puzzles and also in combat. Every character has a unique set of abilities that also, you know, can help them out with combat, puzzles, stuff like that. Even the gods have cool, very interesting abilities that you can mess around with. Even being able to play as the monsters. The map is huge, in my opinion. I think that's what I would make it be. And you would have separate maps with collectibles, like golden bricks that are basically god bricks, like basically your gold or bronze, you know, stuff, and other collectibles that, you know, you can unlock other characters. Ton of funny little iconic boss fights, like the ones with the Furies, or one with a Fury as Percy, and other stuff. But that's just me. But I am hard at work on the RE3 remake rewrite video, and I'm also hard at work on the Resident Evil 4 remake video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I put a lot of thought into it. I hope you liked my ideas of how I would have done things. And make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. All that jazz really helps me out, especially with the algorithm. And also let me know what your ideas are in the comments down below. And let me know what you think of the video. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace out. Bye-bye.